and we're so excited to have you as our expert.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Okay, so do you want to start by telling us a little bit about how you started implementing this with your class?
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I went down to, I was at the Google headquarters and I was listening to some of their engineers present their 20% projects. And it was the first time that I had ever heard of like 20% time. Like, what is that? And they allow their engineers to use 20% of their weekly hours to work on like a passion project or something that a problem they want to solve within the infrastructure of Google. And if Google likes their product, then they might adopt it. And something like Gmail and Calendar were once 20% projects that were then adopted by Google. And so I left like pretty inspired, and I was like, how can I do this in my class? What would that look like? 20% one day a week. What could I have kids do? And so I teach two classes. I teach Regents Biology, which has, a curriculum that's state required. And then I have Marine Biology, level when I go through a local college, but I have a little more flexibility with what I can do in that class, and there's no state exam at the end. So I was like, this is the perfect class to try it out, seniors. And so I've been doing it for 3 years, and basically I use Wednesdays as my 20% day. That's one day a week, 20% of the week, and they basically can work on any project that they want. I have them try to align it with their future career. And they also have to link it with the ocean because it's marine bio. And so they have to kind of have a creative link of their project. And the project could be anything. One girl wants to go into fashion design. So she's currently designing a whole line influenced by certain animals in the ocean. It's focusing on the coral reef. And she's literally going to make a dress for me that if I chaperone prom, I'm going to wear. If it's appropriate, of course. But they, everything. I've had people make music. I've had people build children's books. Students that want to become teachers, I have them build lesson plans, and then they teach my bio class. So I have 2 groups of teachers this year where they're going to come in and teach different lessons to my bio kids. I have one student that really wants to be an elementary teacher, and this year we came up with the idea of having like a traveling tank that goes to elementary schools and has a curriculum that goes along with it. And so I have a bunch of different groups building pieces of that curriculum with the traveling tank. So it ranges. I've got physics projects that I don't understand going on. And I have, that's another piece, like whatever their project is, I may not be their expert, that's their mentor. And so whenever they propose it to me, I have to say to them, this is an awesome idea. I may not be able to support you in all of your needs. Would you be with this person during a free period to get any extra help, in terms of that? And my physics teachers have been great because there's 2 groups that have had to meet with them frequently throughout the year this year on like designing their project. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I was actually going to do that mentor thing, but you beat me to that.
Yeah. But
that's anyone before we go on have questions for her? That was like a lot in one mouthful.
I think she touched on, the whole thing of redirecting a student and kind of letting them know that they're going to have to be on their own or work with their mentor. So I'd like to know more about mentoring.
We're going to talk a little bit about mentoring later, but Heidi, how do you monitor the mentoring?
Right now, a lot of it, I'm the mentor to most of them. And so, hold on a minute. I'm going to try putting my headphones in to see if I can better. Because my room, my heater is very loud, and every noise, anything in here gets like muttered. Really, there's only one group I can't support, or 2, and it's because it's physics that I don't understand. And so they just meet with the physics teachers. At this point, if the project became and I contact them. So if there's a project that you think another teacher or someone in the community would be best fit, then if it's a teacher, you just ask the teacher and hook the students up with them. And I would never think a teacher would turn a student down to, when they're doing something that's an independent project. If I had them working in a community with it, I would probably have a permission slip with the parent, just because it's not a teacher connecting with. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Do you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you, but I'm trying to get.
Oh, now I don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, and that's the problem you and I were having the other day.
Yeah, it was my headphones, not yours.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, everyone has to talk loud so I can hear you. So the mentoring is really depending on what their projects are and if you can support it or not.
Heidi, some things that I was thinking maybe would be beneficial for you to talk about. Here's a few of them. One, time. So I know this is a big one for you because you recently changed the way you do your 20% time because of the time that it takes you to make sure that they're all doing it. We're coming up with a list of buzzwords. So time is one of them. Another one is grades. So I want you to talk about how you grade it.
Yeah.
So those are my two biggest things I think they will want to learn about.
Okay, so I'm actually going to screen share my computer so that I can go through a couple files as I talk. You really don't need to see me. So I'm just going to screen share my computer.
As she's taking pictures. You don't need to see.
You guys, right? I could see my screen.
see myself.
Yeah, oh yeah, because I need to get off the screen. Okay, so now you should see my computer, right?
We see it.
Okay.
I'm all for.
So first of all, the first thing was time. I'm just going to show you an outline of the 4 steps to my project because they all are different time-consuming pieces. So I'm going to change the font to white so that you guys can see this better. Okay, so these are the 4 steps. They have to propose their project to me. They have to create a rubric. So that's going to be the grading piece I talk about. Reflections were the most time consuming, and I modified it and then modified it again. And then this is the final piece. So that I won't touch on yet. So the first.
By the way, your weekly reflections link leads to your old way of doing weekly reflections, not your new one. I meant to email you. Sorry.
That's all right. I can bring up the new way in a second anyway. Yeah, no, literally since I presented this in October 24th, and since then, the way I do things has changed twice. So just to kind of maximize. This year, I have 75 marine bio students versus 50. And so I had to be savvy with time because it can be very time consuming. The first thing that I have them do for grade is a proposal. And I'll zoom into this sheet. And I just have them propose what their project is. Are they going to work with groups? What's their title going to be? How long do you think it's going to take? How does this connect with your future career? So if they're working in a group, each partner would say maybe they have different pieces of the project and they bring in their future career with that project. I have one group that one girl wants to go into interior design and the other girl wants to be a physical therapist. So they're actually designing a sea turtle rehabilitation center. And so the interior design is actually researching all the specs that would be needed to keep a turtle in captivity. And what are all the things that you would need. And then the physical therapist is researching certain injuries and talking about how you would rehabilitate that turtle back into being able to be in the wild. And so it's one project, but they each have different roles in the project. Why do I care about it? Am I going to use this in my class? Basically, who's the audience? And who's the audience? Who is this project going to be? And they just fill that in. I use Google Classroom as my platform. So let me just go to
most of the people in this room do too.
Okay, good. I know you're having Meredith talk to you and she's a Microsoft person. So she probably manages them on Microsoft 360 or whatever it is that they use. I use everything. Wrong class. I use everything on Classroom. And so the proposal was, I have to go down and find it. It was in the beginning of the year. But the proposal would just be an assignment and it would have this proposal. And then what I do is I only have one person per group hand it in. So like, let me scroll down to like my last 20% assignment. So like,
Heidi, you could just go to your assignments page.
yeah, I'm trying to think of which one though. Rubric. Let me go down to the rubric. Student generated rubric. Okay. See how this project only 11 did it and 13 didn't? That's because only one person per group hands stuff in. So that's like one of my time savers. I'm not reading 24 proposals for this class. I'm reading 11 because they're in groups. Or if they're working alone, then they obviously, and they have like a team captain. And that team captain is the one that hands the stuff in. And so that was like one of my time savers. And then, and that's with points. The grading also is a rubric. So through the same, Google assignment on Google Classroom, they develop, this is like a blank rubric where like they have to have citations, what technology are they going to use, who is the audience, like where are they going to share this piece, because I want them to have like a global connection piece. Either they blog that they post live, or they create, like one girl is doing a paper, and which I don't really like papers because the audience is usually just one. But if they insist that they want to write a research paper, they have to have a global piece. So they had to create like a survey using Google Forms that we would tweet out, put on our Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and gather live data that they would then use in their paper. What's the math piece? And then these are just all individual pieces. Like for the fashion line, how many pieces do you want? What are the fabrics that you're going to use? Like whatever individual components would match their project. And this is how their projects will be graded. They create the rubric to how they want it graded. And if their project evolves, they can go back and change the rubric.
And Heidi, can you speak a little bit about, it's so weird to hear my voice. What happens if you don't agree with the rubric, or I can't speak. If you don't agree with the rubric, how do you change it?
Okay, so the two most time-consuming grading weeks for me.
You. Can we look at you?
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Sorry.
The most time-consuming weeks grading-wise are the proposal and the rubric weeks, because I really critique the hell out of them. If they're proposing something that I think they're biting off more than they can chew, I don't want to discourage that, because it's okay. They need to kind of figure that out. But I also want to say to them, hey, like this one kid is not a strong physics student, and he bit off a project that I don't think he understands. And I know that I can't support him, but I knew enough physics to know that this is beyond his capability. And so I said to him, are you ready to put in the physics needed are you strong enough in physics to complete this project? Are you willing to do all the math that's involved? And he was like, wait, what? And then I explained to him, like, well, this is what your project's entailing. Like, this is going to be your long-term goal. And he was still he kept with the project, and he's been meeting with one of the physics teachers. So he's been biting off, whatever. He was able to challenge himself, but I'm very honest in my feedback to them, and I use Google comments on the sides of their proposals, and I ask a billion questions. So that takes a long time. And then same with the rubric. If I don't feel like the rubric is challenging enough, I write that in comments on the rubric, and I'll add components. And there's also a disclaimer on my rubric that I have the right to override anything on that rubric.
And can you talk about that? I know that you've run into situations with that.
Yeah, just if they, like, I have one group of two people that want a medical field, and their project is very low level. I don't think it's challenging. I've warned them about it. I told them I don't like their rubric. It needs to be more challenging. And they refuse to change. So they're not going to like their grade when they get it, because they're not going to be able to score well on the rubric that I developed for them that they probably haven't reopened and looked.
Yeah, she's very harsh with her students.
Yeah.
She tells them, one of the things that we're going to talk about later is, like, I think her terminology is, she uses nicely, would you keep your job? That's the nice way of saying it. But she says it's very harsh.
Yeah, one of the final pieces of this is they do a final reflection. and they have to basically justify whether their effort in this project was worthwhile to keep their job, if this was something they were doing for their career. And if they're honest and they say, I did a sucky job, or no, I should get, and I agree with that, then they're not going to lose points on that piece. But if they're like, no, I think I should keep my job, I would be like, absolutely not. And I'm very data driven. So it's, even though it's subjective, I'm very objective in my data, my evidence to support why they would be fired after week 1. But because I can't fire students, I kept you on the job until the end. But this is why, here's my 18 reasons why you'd be fired. And I've lost all respect for you because you're a horrible employee.
Yeah, she really is very honest with them. I
No,
think they respect you because of it, right?
Yeah, no, they actually, like, I have an interesting rapport with them. Like, they already know, like, I'm grading labs right now where I could actually thrown up the alphabet and actually got, like, written better lab reports than some of these seniors are handing in. And no, I have a whole file of, like, angry Bitmojis that I'm printing out and stapling to their rubrics. Yeah.
She uses them in her grading. It's not
Yeah. There's
I
a
can show
table
you.
flipping one that I'm going to use for one group because I want to flip over all their desks. Because literally, I could have taken the alphabet, thrown it up, and I would have had better sentence structure. And that bothers me.
How about? I don't remember the question I was just gonna ask you.
Oh, time. Weekly checkpoints. Can I go over my?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
Yep.
the first week in class, they propose their idea. I give them in time in class to write the proposal. I have them write a proposal. Other teachers that do this have, like, one teacher did like a Google presentation where everybody in the class got a slide that they wrote. They did like a visual, like, this is what I want to plan. And like they just proposed it on like one slide on a Google presentation. And then they proposed it to the whole class. Like, they spent a day like going through each slide. And then I actually like that idea that for the next time and have like a group discussion. Because the way I do it, I'm the only one that knows everyone else's project. They don't know necessarily what other people are working on unless you talk to them. The rubric, I give them another week. So that's week 2. How do you want to be graded? And then I give them a week to like develop it and then hand it in. And then we start the research. So we've been working on this in September. And tomorrow is the last day in class to work on their project before we start our final reflections. So we're like ending part 3 and we're going to start part 4 next week. And so so they're like finalizing their projects. So what I did in years past as a micromanager is I had them fill out, I'll show you in the screen share. I had them fill out these weekly reflections. Where, do you see my screen?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. Like, this is a box, a table that they put every link to everything. Like, where's their research? Where's the link to their project? Where's da-da-da? And some projects aren't digitally based, and that's fine. So we have to have a conversation about how I can track progress. Who's the team captain? And then every week they'd write, what are your goals? Who's going to do what? Where are you going to do this? When are you going to do this? And then every group member had to reflect on whether they met their goal or not. I think this sheet is very valuable because I think part of the problem is they don't set achievable goals. They're either too easy or they're not achievable or they don't meet them. So like sometimes just like writing it down makes you more accountable. I would literally read every single one of these. Go back up to the doc. Make sure they said they researched 2 animals and they only researched 1. Like, I was micromanaging them and it was time consuming. So what I started doing is this. Where's my new one? Where it says new weekly goals. All I did is I created a spreadsheet of every single, all this is live, right? I shouldn't have my kids' names up. Okay. So
Yeah, just scroll over a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
okay. So like, here's their project. And what they did is this is a file that every single one of my students can edit. So there's hesitations with that. That's why there's color coding and there's like a black line in between each row because they don't, it's a spreadsheet. I shared it on Google Classroom with the second sharing edits, like anybody that has this file can edit it. And basically, yeah, so like here was her goal for 2 weeks ago, here was her goal for last Thursday, and here's her goal for tomorrow. And what I do is I print this out, and then every Wednesday I have micro meetings with each student. And what I found is switching from this file where they had to type something in to this made all the difference, because this is the sheet they worked on in class, because they didn't want to not hand it in. They weren't actually working on their project. They were working on this versus.
Heidi, we didn't see it.
What?
Okay, go back to it for a second. There, that. We didn't
This?
see that for. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just a spreadsheet, and I have like all the different periods on the bottom of the screen. So like every student now can see everyone else's goals. Everyone is editing rights, so there's that risk that something's going to get deleted. But I print this out hard copy, and I'm sharing. I'm going to show you. Here's my. I print this out hard copy, and then I go around from group to group, and I'm like, show me how. So it's like, create the pre-post form. Show me your pre-post form. So like, I already know their goals going into the meeting versus us having a meeting about what they want to do. And and they don't have to fill out anything else afterwards. So this to me is a big time saver. I actually don't care what they do from week to week because I have the due date. So if they want to waste time in class, then that's their own fault, and they're not going to finish the project. So it put more accountability on them.
What does it look like? And I know Heidi chose Wednesdays, and she has seniors, so she felt like that was a really good day. Do you want to describe why you chose Wednesdays and what your classroom looks like on Wednesdays?
Yeah, I chose Wednesday because it's the middle of the week. Seniors don't like to come to school on Mondays and Fridays, so I figured I would get them there always on a Wednesday. If they miss stuff on Friday, that's just like the real curriculum, so then they're double screwed. But like it's in my classroom, it's once a week. In a lot of classes, like a lot of AP classes that do it in my building, it's at the end of the school year. So after the APs, so it's 20% of the year, where they do it every day, but for the last piece of the year. I do it Wednesdays. What it looks like is every kid is on a Chromebook in their groups, or they're building like their experiments. Like I have different experiments all around my room because it's 20% stuff. And all I do is I literally run around and have a meeting from group to group to group to group. And then once I'm done with my micro meetings, I literally like just stand there and be like, who needs me? And sometimes they need me. And so.
Does anyone have any questions for Heidi?
I have one or two maybe. Hi Heidi. I was wondering about the initial talk you gave us about your first week in class doing the proposals, and then the second week in class writing the rubric. So is that a full week or just your Wednesday?
It's just the Wednesday. So they spend one day in class, but then I give them a week to finish it and hand it in. So like, like for the proposal, it was on a Wednesday. The proposal wasn't due until like a couple days later on Google Classroom. So they had a couple extra days with extra help in between when it's due. But I needed to review them before the next 20% day. So I try like for like the proposal, I'm like, Friday night at midnight might be the due date on Google Classroom, so I can have Saturday and Sunday to look through the proposal, whatever I don't finish, Monday and Tuesday, so that they're ready to go for that Wednesday.
Okay.
And then same with the rubric. The rubric, I gave them a little bit longer. I gave them actually like 2 weeks to finish it, just because I was finding that they were having a hard time with it, and they have a hard. So this is the problem: is they can't think outside of a standard. So when they're creating the standard, it's a different role that they're playing that they're not used to. So they had a hard time picturing what the product would look like to develop the rubric. And to me, the rubric is important because it's going to tell them what their product should look like. Like if they want to write a blog, well, you know, is your blog enough images? Do you want interactive pieces? Do you want, how many blog posts do you want? So I found that I had to almost guide them a lot to develop those rubrics because I had a very hard time figuring what their product would look like.
And how often do students go back and change their rubrics?
I think I have 75 kids. I forget how many individual projects I have. I probably have like 40 different projects. I would say 3 right now have definitely revamped and their project has taken a different route. And that's not a lot, but it's, so there's some that they have to go back and kind of change their rubric a little bit.
I have a question. I'm curious as to what kind of feedback you've gotten from parents.
None. None. To be honest with you.
Do you think it's because your kids are seniors, or do you think it's just the nature of your district?
Maybe a little bit of both. I mean, I definitely have involved parents if they could be too involved. But I really haven't heard from them either way. But it's also because they might not be sharing the project with them. This year, I want them to have their final piece that could be used as a portfolio. Other teachers that have been doing this for years, their projects, sometimes they do Kevin Brookhauser he wrote a good book called 20 Time Project. He's in California. He does like a TED Talks at the end of the year where every student presents what they've done to the community. And so their parents would have a bigger involvement. You know, the only involvement parents would have here is if they had to buy some supplies and if their kids are, you know, talk to them about it. But parents have not contacted me, good or bad, regarding it.
Heidi, just so you feel special, we're going to do a scavenger hunt later of materials, and your name is up there with Kevin's. So there's 4. Then it's one of them is you, so you're up there with him.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I was going to ask, have you seen this have an effect on the kids in other areas of your classroom? Like, are they taking more responsibility for their learning on traditional projects and stuff?
You know, what I've found with these projects, because I cater them too, like I kind of mold some projects to be fit for me. If they have no idea, I'm like, well, why don't you do this? And then I can benefit from it. I'm finding that it depends on the kids. If you have last year, my students last year were the most motivated senior class ever. I could have asked them to do anything and they would have done it gratefully. They would have done it very thoroughly without having to ask questions that are repeating the answer. Like last year, my cohort of students were just different mental people. Like they are going to be the group that goes and solves problems. I don't know if it's just because I have more students. I have a lot of very unmotivated students. And so I have to figure out how this project can be used to motivate them to answer that question, I guess in a different route. This year, I've tried to take the unmotivated students and make their projects ones that we're going to be using in class. And so there's a little bit more of an accountability piece there because they're materials that I need. And so, and then when they are used in class and their name is attached to it, there's that like certain level of ownership where now they've become part of the class. So, you know, like I have 4 boys that are building an app for the class. And, you know, I think they've wasted a lot of time, but with that same sense, they also are providing everything on the app that they said that they were going to provide. I don't think it needs 4 people in the group. That's my argument from day one is that groups, but they insisted on wanting to work together. So I said that, you know, they need to develop an app that blows my mind. It doesn't blow my mind yet because I think one person could have developed it themselves, but they're doing everything that they're saying that they're going to do. This app will be used for all of my students once it goes live. So it will, like, their product will then become part of class, where then every day we'll be using their names. Hey, open up so-and-so's app. You know, that kind of stuff. And it gives them a different level of ownership. When you give kids ownership, regardless of who they are, you mention their name in class for something that they've provided for you, they're already more engaged in the classroom moving forward, is what I found. Do you guys teach classes with regencies? Because how I do this in bio is completely different. How many of you teach
Most-
a class that has like a state standard at the end?
So who teaches a Regents?
I do.
Just Seth.
Can I show them how I do it in bio? Because it's 100% different. It's a completely different system, and I'm loving it. You
Go
guys
ahead.
mind? Okay, I'm gonna
No.
screen share again.
No, we don't mind.
Wait, am I already screen sharing?
No, we see your.
Okay, so do you see me? I'm gonna go back to
We
Google
see-
Classroom. Okay, so let's see. Where's Audie? Wait, what period am I in? I picked the wrong period. Okay, so in bio, because I have a Regents curriculum, what I have them do is they pick a theme, something that they're interested in that involves like a living. And so they could pick a disease, they could pick an animal, they could pick a sport, but then they have to talk about the athlete that's playing the sport. So I have everything ranging from soccer, field hockey, cancer, Alzheimer's, colon cancer, astigmatism, asthma, cats, snakes. So just like I bet you guys are excited to see that Chrome crashes everywhere. So there's having a bunch of different themes. I'm gonna unscreen until that opens up. And basically all they do is they make one slide of a Google presentation for every single unit. And you know what I can do? If that's not opening, let me, oh, now it's not even letting me screen share anymore. All right. Yeah, okay, but please, just if you could picture it. So like the first slide, Alzheimer's. And then the second slide would be like, why did you pick Alzheimer's? And there's one kid's like, my grandma just passed away with Alzheimer's. And then our first unit was scientific method. So they had to design an experiment on whatever their theme is. So if it's Alzheimer's, like how would you test a new drug or whatever? What would the experiment look like? If you were in a sport, like one kid, does, you know, the effects of a certain brand of bat on like accuracy of hitting or whatever it is. So they had to kind of think of their theme and like if they would do an experiment, how would they design it? And then what we do is we go through every unit. And so they create these slides. So that's one day. One day of the unit, they work on their individual slides. And because it usually happens in the beginning of the curriculum, in the beginning of the unit, they may not know that connection yet because we haven't gotten to those notes yet. So I kind of go around and say, I kind of help them make questions, and then they research them. And then they make a slide. The week of the test, a couple days before the test, they get into micro groups of 4 or 5, and they present their slides to a small group that evaluates them on like, were their slides easy to read? Were they knowledgeable of information? Were they confident when they spoke? What is something I learned from them? And so they fill out these little like evaluation sheets, and they basically go around and they see like the circulatory system through the lens of Alzheimer's, through the lens of field hockey, through the lens of nutrition, through the lens of whatever the themes are. And they might see examples that I would never use in class, that they can make like a different connection. And then what we do at the end of class is I have a Google Doc on Google Classroom where everybody writes one thing they learned from somebody else that day. And they put it all in Google Doc. What did you learn? Who presented it? What period are you from? And then there's 2 ways we use that. So there's 3 days to this 20% project for each unit. First day they make their slides. Second day they present their slides. And the third day I pick 2 or 3 presentations that I feel make a connection. It may not be because they have the best presentation. In fact, some of them, the presentations are horrible. There's too many words. But like the one group, the one I picked, the Alzheimer's, the one girl that's doing music, guitar playing, and she spoke about muscle memory. That was her theme for cells, is how do your cells learn muscle memory? And then an Alzheimer's talked about how does Alzheimer's form at the cellular level. And I had them both present, and then they had to, the class had to research, why would I choose both those presentations? What is their connection? And I don't give them anything except for the internet. And they had to come up with that the ways that we're looking at preventing Alzheimer's are exercises that promote muscle memory. So they had to make that connection through research. And now it's awesome because literally, because they're starting to learn each other's themes, we'll like researching something in class and they're like, oh, this connects with so-and-so's theme, or oh, this connects with this person's theme. And it's really, I've been loving it.
It's much different than the way you do your other class.
Oh, it's a completely different thing. But I call it 20% because 20% of our unit, maybe we work on it.
And which one do you enjoy more?
I like them both for different reasons. This is the first year with the bio, and I like it because I'm seeing so many connections with their themes this year that it's awesome. But with marine bio, they're just out of the box projects that you wouldn't have time to do in class. You know, they're just like really cool experiments that are more based on the kid's passion and not a curriculum. So like marine bio, I don't care what standards you go over. There's no standards. Like you just do whatever you want. You want to go into law, then you research ocean law. You want to go into fashion design, then you design a fashion line. But because there's a regents in bio, I have them link it to the curriculum. And so they're different. I like them both. I can't pick. I don't think I can pick.
Anyone else have questions? No one?
Heidi, I got a quick question about how many, if you were doing this for the first year, when you did your first year, how many classes or students did you start with? You know, right now you've got like a load of three AP classes, so it's probably about 75, you said, and you have one bio class, it's probably about 25, so you're working with 100 students. I don't think maybe that would, go ahead.
I would probably start small just to see if it's something that you want to manage. This is like my third year doing the 20% with marine bio. If I entered it for the first time with 75 people and I don't know the end result being valuable, I probably would have given up by now because it was very challenging for me this year to try to manage those weekly reflections. But it also forced me to be creative about how I can manage time and do things faster and put more ownership on them. And so and I would be thinking about it as I'm like working out in the morning, or like I walked into school one day and I was like, this is it. Like I'm always thinking about how to save time. I'm always thinking of the projects. Like I know more about what they're going to major in college than I know about their grade sheets right now. To be honest with you, it's true. Like I'll be online. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person, da da da, and I would like tweet it just so I would have it saved. And then forgetting that person follows me and she liked it, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. It's for your 20%. You know, so like I'm constantly finding resources for them. Like if I see like a current event or something. But I don't know if I would bite off 75 students my first year, because it's just a lot to figure out how to manage it or to feel comfortable managing it. Oh. Told you I gotta move around.
Yeah.
I'd probably start with a small class.
What else do you recommend for someone who's trying this for the first time?
You know, you could survey your class to see if they were given 1 day a week or, 4 weeks consecutively throughout a quarter, like at the end of the year, what would they even want to work on? Like kind of surveying them to see where it takes you. My English teacher, and because they don't have to stick to like a curriculum per se, she lets them do whatever they want. And that's what Kevin Brookhauser does. He might teach English too, I'm not sure. But like they have more flexibility where I make them align into the ocean. I could let them do whatever they wanted. And if they wanted to, like one kid last year in her class this English teacher he found a problem in the community was that the mom and pop shops weren't necessarily able to, they're being taken over by bigger, like we see all these pharmacies. We just had a couple like local pharmacies close. The CVSs are moving in. And so he was like, what if all the mom and pop shops had a website or a calendar where they were able to post their sales and their events, and it was only for them, and that was signed on the, they play music in between periods on Tuesdays, and the bell just rang, so you're going to hear music like 5 minutes. It's going to be annoying. You hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So you're going to
go?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, but do you have to go?
In a little bit, yeah.
I just want to be mindful.
Yeah, but he like built a calendar for all the mom and pop shops and then try to connect it with the town to get it on their website. So like you can think about how far into the community do you want your kids to go? Do you want to keep it local, solving problems? What do they want to learn? What problem do they want to solve? That's where you need to focus with the projects.
I see someone walking in.
Hey. I have a meeting after school today. Tomorrow. Check it right now. He's coming to check his 20% project.
Wow.
Yeah, check it right now.
We did not plan.
Yeah.
Enough for a strip. So all you have to do is dip it. Not enough for a strip? All right. Tomorrow after school, can you come and we'll heat it up again? Yeah, can you stay for a little bit? Actually, I'm lying. Tomorrow in class is a 20% day. We'll heat it first period. But let's get it started early because you guys come, like Melvin comes early. Let's start at 7 o'clock boiling that water. They're building a desalination kit. So so one of my students went to the Hudson and got a sample of Hudson water, and they got strips from Lowe's, right? You got strips from Lowe's, Home Depot, that test for all the different chemicals that are in water, like that would be in your drinking water. And then they're using the sun as like a desal where it evaporates and gets trapped back into a container. But our room fluctuates temperature, and I have my blinds down, so we've just been boiling it to get the water cycling to trap it. And now they just have to test the water to see if they're able to remove everything. Can they drink the waters where they're going? If they did this with their water, would they be able to drink it?
Okay, so can we drink?
Oh, that's kind of cool. You got to see him like come in and check on it.
Yeah.
They need it in Jersey.
It's like I planned it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
No, that group, can I tell you?
Everyone
They were
jokes
so lazy to get started. But I told one of the parents at parent meetings that if their student was stranded on an island and they needed to get salt out of water to survive, which is his 20% project, he would die. That's why I told the parents. No, because they weren't doing anything. So then the next day they came in with supplies. You gotta put a little fire in their butt. What you gotta do?
Yeah. Well, maybe he can help solve our drinking water problem around this area.
Well, yeah, we gotta look at like different ways. They're trying to build a desalination plant in our area. I'm kind of against it. I feel like the next piece I'm gonna have them research.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Anyone else have questions for Heidi? I think I shell shocked them. You came like right in the beginning.
Yeah.
They don't even know what to ask you yet. They don't even know yet. I have a questions document for them, and throughout the day, they're just gonna write any questions that they have. And then I didn't tell you yet. I knew you'd be okay with it. So then you'll just answer their questions, and I'll Meredith do the same, and you could each pick a color ink. So then they get two perspectives.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I'll color mine. I'll be lavender purple for Clarkstown North.
Perfect.
Also give them my email if they ever have questions. Like always, email me.
I will definitely give them that. I also have the Google presentation you just shared and your resource folders that you gave for Putnam, Northern Westchester. So we're doing a scavenger hunt with it later. So they'll be looking through all of your material.
Okay,
I'm sure
perfect.
there's lots of questions for you at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Good luck, everybody. Have fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.